And the FDA has conditionally approved the first new treatment for Alzheimer's in nearly 2 decades. Biogen's Aducanumab, which goes by the brand name Aduhelm, is a monthly infusion for patients with early-stage Alzheimer's. The goal of the new treatment is to slow the cognitive decline. It's the first treatment that targets how the disease works, not just the symptoms. So joining me now for more on this, ABC News medical contributor and vice chair of medicine at South Shore Health, Dr. Todd Ellerin, who knows more about this drug, including how to pronounce it. Dr. Ellerin, good morning to you. So talk us through this.
Diane.
How does this drug work?
Right, so we think that Alzheimer's is a buildup of this protein, this plaque called beta amyloid, and it surrounds the nerves in the brain, and it's toxic to these nerve cells, and that's what causes progressive memory loss and behavioral changes, and it's such an awful disease for the patients that are going through it and their families. Aducanumab works by binding to that beta protein, that plaque, that amyloid plaque, and somehow, we don't know how, it is able to eliminate it from the body. So it either through the blood vessels or maybe other immune cells are able to digest it. But there's definitely a decrease in the amyloid. So this is the first drug that's been approved that's actually targeting a mechanism and not just symptoms.
And so how significant is this breakthrough, given how long it's been since there's been a significant breakthrough in Alzheimer's treatment?
This is not straightforward, okay? And the reason is that while it definitely worked to target that amyloid plaque and to decrease the amount, the clinical benefits to the patients in the phase 3 randomized trials were uncertain, really uncertain clinical benefit. One trial actually showed that it didn't work. Another trial showed that there was modest effectiveness. But remember, with all the previous medications that have been approved, even to help with symptoms, it tends to be modest benefits. So it's still a big question mark.
So the FDA's own independent advisory panel actually recommended the agency reject the drug. So what were some of the other concerns here? Why so controversial, and why did it end up getting approved?
That's one of the biggest controversies about the FDA approval on Monday, is that its own advisory committee in November, 10 out of the 11 members voted to reject approval because Biogen, who's the manufacturer, they basically developed 2 registrational trials, and for the drug to be considered effective, both studies needed to show a positive result, and one study didn't. So ultimately, they stopped the trials due to futility. And it wasn't until later on, about 6 months later, when they reanalyzed the data, they said, well, maybe if we look at a higher amount of this monoclonal antibody, this infusion that's given monthly, in that subset, patients tended to do better. So ultimately, the FDA did approve this, but despite the fact that the majority of its advisory committee, what we call AdCom, said to reject it.
Now, there are about 6 million people in the U.S. with Alzheimer's. There are very few good options for treatment. So what should patients and loved ones take into account if they're considering this treatment?
It's such an important question, and right now it's really unclear, but I will agree with you. This is such an awful, insidious disease that leads to, really, it's a disease that robs us of memory and behavioral disturbances, and ultimately, in more moderate or severe disease, the caretakers, the family, the loved ones have to take care of the patient, and it changes everyone's quality of life and makes quality of life terrible. So it's understandable. We all want effective Alzheimer's medications. And the fact that this does help target proteins and helps decrease the pathophysiology, I think, is a step in the right direction. Unfortunately, the clinical benefit is still unclear. And I want to be clear about something. The FDA's approval is predicated on the fact that Biogen will actually perform a phase 4 clinical trial where they have to do another randomized placebo-controlled study. in order to show clinical benefit. And the FDA said if that doesn't, then they have the right to revoke their approval. But for just 1 second, I want to role play with you. If now you are the patient and I'm the principal investigator, and I want to enroll you in another trial where there's a 50% chance you'll get the drug, but a 50% chance you'll get the placebo, but I also have to tell you, by the way, the FDA has already approved this, so you could get the drug, without entering the trial. What incentive would you have to enter the trial? So I think it's going to be very hard for principal investigators to enroll patients in this phase 4 study.
All right, Dr. Todd Ellerin, it's great to have you. Thank you.
Take care, Diane.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.